excited to do this class for you guys tonight because I've done it before, but yet I feel like there's a whole new way of looking at it now. I just know more, and we have a few more tools than we had before, so that's kind of why I want to do this again. And it's something that I hear a lot, just that overwhelm, stress, anxiety, just seemingly in a bad mood all the time, maybe for whatever reason. And hey, Claire. And it's just something that comes up a lot. And I know that I experience different things like that, just, with life in general, right? We just have different ups and downs. And I often find that people feel really helpless in this. And so I wanted to just give you some information as far as what's actually going on in your body, what an effect it has on your health, and then what you can actually do to choose how you feel. And there actually is hope for that. So hopefully over the next 30-45 minutes I can give you some great information that's going to help you as you move forward in really taking care of yourself in a different and better, and hopefully just feel more empowered sort of way. So let's talk about trapped emotions and everything that kind of goes on when we're just in a stressful state. And when I talk about mood, a lot of times it does come out as stress, right? A lot of times that's what's trapped in, and so we have a certain outward thing that we're expressing to other people, which could be considered mood, but a lot of it comes from stress. So I'm going to talk a good bit about that and about the things that it's doing on the inside of your body. It's really often very overlooked when we think about our overall health, but the more I talk to people and the more that I learn as far as just from other people and studies and different medical professionals, a lot of disease that happens today is actually because we are just stressed all the time. We live in constant stress. And I think, when you hear these people, they're like, they can't find anything wrong with me, and I'm seemingly healthy, but yet I'm having all of these types of issues. Most likely, that is probably because of stress. And stress is the root cause of a lot of different diseases and things that are going on in the body, that your body's kind of screaming out, saying, I need some help here. And a lot of times it's just like, we don't know what to do, right? The doctors are kind of dumbfounded. You don't really know what to do, but it really goes back to your stress level. And if you trap that in your body and you have these emotions that are just all the time just staying inside, that can really lead to a lot of honestly decay from the inside. I know that's a kind of not a nice word to use, but that's actually what happens. Your body can't live under that stressful of a state for that long and not have any type of outward issue going on. So it's very, very toxic to our body. And everyday stress that we have, that's seemingly like we're just going to have to deal with this, and we're just going to keep going, and we'll just have to, it's just life, right? Life is just stressful, and I totally understand it can be, but yet what are we going to do to counteract this, right? I'm not saying go off and just live where there's no reality. I'm not saying that, right? We need time away, but obviously we have to come back to our life. And what can we do to take some steps to really realize, wow, we are under a lot of stress? What can we do to counteract that? That's the way that I want you to start thinking about things and the different tools that you can use. So I want to kind of refer back to a video and a topic that I talked about. It was probably about a month ago. It was a video from Dr. Bruce Lipton, and you might have seen some of his other videos. I actually shared one on my Instagram stories today because I was looking for a video that I had shared at this class a couple weeks or a month ago, and I found another one that was really good. So he's got a lot of great stuff. So if you ever want to Google him or go check out some of his videos, I think they're all really good. But he talks a lot about how stress impacts our body at just a level that we have no idea of. And when you think about different things that are outward symptoms, the root of that is stress a lot of times, because when we're under stressful situations, our body is sending signals to itself to say, basically we're in fight or flight mode, and that really affects a lot of our hormone balance and a lot of our body systems. They basically go on hold, and that's why you'll see even something like your digestion really get messed up, and you have headaches, you might have migraines. Imbalance of hormones comes from this. Decreased immunity, because your immune system sort of shuts down if you're in fight or flight, because if you're in fight or flight, you're trying to survive. You're not really trying to not get sick. So you have to think about all these things and how they play a part, and it really does have a large impact on your body. When you think also about how are you coming into certain situations, we have to look at attitude. Attitude has a really big impact on a lot of different things that go on in our body. And the video that I actually ran across today that was really good from Dr. Lipton was talking about how it's basically the way that we look at things and the mindset that we have as far as positive or negative to the things that we come in contact with play a huge role in the cascade that actually happens from that. Because I've heard it said before that our physiology begins with our psychology, and that's all in the way that we think. So it's definitely kind of a complex system, but I just want you to realize these things and know that there's a lot more that goes into that I'm just in a bad mood or I'm just stressed constantly, right? We need to think about these things that are going on when we wonder why we're having these types of symptoms and what can we do about them. We have to realize we've got to do something about the stress, or else it's not going to get any better. So let's talk about why we have emotions, because sometimes I'm like, it would just be so much easier if we really didn't have emotions. But emotions are something that are so innate in a human. I mean, if we didn't have emotions, we'd kind of be like robots. So that's we don't want to be like robots, right? It's good to have emotions, and it's good to let them out, because if we have trapped emotions, that just leads to more and more stress. And I've definitely been guilty of this. I would kind of rather just deal with it myself and not necessarily talk about it and just kind of keep going. But I've realized that really doesn't serve me very well. And I've had to take a better look at this the older that I've gotten, and just the more stress that has entered my life, honestly, with, I used to work full time at the pharmacy, and that was stressful. And then I had kids, and that was stressful. And it's just like all these things were compounded, and it just got to be a lot. And I know that you completely understand where I'm coming from, because many of you are in that situation right now. So we have stress in our lives, and that's normal. We have emotions, but we really need to deal with them, and we need to find somebody to talk to, and we can't just always keep those to ourselves, because that's not healthy at all. And I feel, though, that a lot of times we just, like I was saying, we just tend to keep going, and we don't really listen to what our body's telling us. We have these subtle things that maybe come up, whatever it might be. Your body's just having these little moments of kind of saying, hey, pay attention to me. And we're just like, oh, we're good. We're just going to keep going. It's just, we've got to keep going. We've got to go to work tomorrow. We've got to do X, Y, and Z. We've got to stay on schedule. Whatever it might be, we just keep going and we don't listen. And this ends up being, then your body is screaming at you, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I need to kind of see what's up here, because I'm having a lot of issues or pain or whatever it might be, and we're kind of forced to listen at that point. And so I want you to kind of maybe change your mindset a little bit to, in general, this is always good to listen to what our body's trying to tell us before it has to go to the level of screaming at us. And some of these things are very hard to reverse and to kind of work back from, because anything like this happens, it's sort of a slow fade. It's a lot of times that your body's trying to tell you something and you just keep not listening. And then you're in a place of, okay, well, I have to listen. And you're sort of backtracking, and that takes a lot longer than if you were to just listen in the first place. So I speak from some experience on that. So let's listen to our bodies a little bit more. And honestly, I'm going to talk about this in a minute in a little bit more detail, but let's be a little bit more present in the moment instead of just trying to race through our lives. That's important and something that's hard to do, but yet it's very important to do. And I think you'll see that your relationships will improve and your health will improve, and your just overall joy of life will improve if you are present where you're at. Because the world wants to kind of pull you in all these different directions, but we are responsible for saying, no, we're going to do this, and this is our priority. And if your health is your priority, then this is something that you need to take seriously, from what I've found. So, this might sound kind of like, yeah, that sounds good, but what's really going on in my body when I'm feeling these emotions or when I'm feeling stressed? There is a whole physiological thing that happens when you are in a stressful situation or you are feeling a certain type of emotion. You're telling your body to do a certain thing. And so I want to kind of talk a little bit about how that works in the body, and then I'm going to talk about how we can use certain tools to really help change that thought pattern and change that physiological response. So all of these things kind of happen in the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus tells our body what chemicals to release, what neurotransmitters, what proteins, all of those types of things. The signals start in the hypothalamus. And we've all heard of stress hormone, it's cortisol, right? You're pretty familiar with that. But there's positive hormones as well, which are serotonin and dopamine. A lot of people have heard of those too. So there's a whole messenger system that happens. And when you think about it at a cellular level, what's going on in your body when you're under stress and when you're feeling different emotions, your cells have receptor sites on them. And the chemicals that I was speaking of, the stress hormones, the cortisol or the serotonin or the dopamine, they're actually attaching to those cell receptors, and that's what creates a response in your body. And there's two types of messengers that we can have. There's ones that come from inside our body, and those are endogenous, and then there are ones that come from outside our body, which are exogenous. So an exogenous chemical would be something like a medication, an essential oil. They're coming from outside our body, right? Also, food can have an effect and can create these emotional responses in our body, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So endogenous, already mentioned, those are like serotonin and dopamine. So those are two ways that you can create these cascades, whether good or bad, in your body from a certain emotion. And like I said, the hypothalamus really controls all of this, and that's what converts thoughts and emotions into these chemical messengers. So it all starts in your hypothalamus. So just if you didn't retain really much else from that, that's what you kind of need to know, and that there's two types of ways that your cells can create these responses. So let's talk about smell, because that is the quickest way to your hypothalamus, to signal your hypothalamus to release whatever it might be, right? A good hormone or a bad hormone. I'm calling it bad, stress hormone, right? That cortisol. That's what's going to tell your body to release that, is your hypothalamus. And so smell is actually one of your most primal sense. It has hundreds of different receptors, so it's very, very complex. So, your hypothalamus can be signaled before you even realize what's going on. It's really, really a very, like I said, it's a very complex way of your body responding to certain things that you're coming in contact with. And that's kind of what begins as an emotional inflammation that can cause physical disease, is when we have these certain hormones that are released. So hopefully that came full circle for you guys, and you kind of understand what happens in your body. And that's just kind of a very overview look at it, because this isn't a science class, but I kind of wanted you to understand that. So how can we choose our mood? How can we choose to feel a different way in a certain situation? Often we think it's just a program response, like, if this happens, I'm gonna feel like this. And I shared in my on my social media today a picture of my son, and I was kind of joking, but not really joking, that he's a handful, you guys. He's so much fun, though. He's full of life, but he wants things his way. And don't we all, right? I totally understand where he's coming from. But when he was younger, he's better now, right? When he was 2, 3, I just remember always thinking, like, my mood and my day is going to depend on him, because if he's in a good mood, it's going to be great. If he's not, then I'm going to be in a bad mood. Honestly, that's kind of what I thought. And I know that you can all put yourself in those situations, whether it's you're going into work and you're like, if such and such shows up in a good mood today, like my coworker, then it's going to be a great day. If not, then it's just going to be one heck of a day, or whatever it is for you. But we all have those things, and we think that our day is going to depend on this or that, or our mood is. But I want you to know that that's not necessarily the case, and it does take a mindset shift for sure, and a want to change that. But I do believe that we can use tools that are very powerful and use that sense of smell to change our mood and to really evoke different chemical responses in our body. You know how that works now. Essential oils are an exogenous way of creating a response in our body, just like if you were to take a medication. Same thing happens. Same type of things happens in our body, if you will. So now that we kind of know the chemistry, you can understand that a little bit more. But this makes sense about why we would, if we're stressed, some people tend to eat. That can create and release certain chemicals in your body as well to create sort of a high feeling, right? And we kind of get this from even sugar or caffeine or certain foods that you may like more, and your body's used to creating that response. So when you eat it, you feel a certain way. Same type of thing. It's all exogenous type of cascade that's going on. So, if we think about when we're entering a certain situation, or we're going into a stressful situation, or our days are just stressful in general, I like to think about it as, let's be preventative, right? We can use these types of things as a way in the moment to shift your mood. But I find it works a lot better and a lot more efficiently if we can use these things preventatively, and if we can choose to set the mood and the tone of our day in different ways. And we'll talk about a few of those different ways. But I want to also talk about a different type of emotional processing method before we kind of get into talking about some essential oils and ways that you can use those and other methods. So Dr. Danielle Daniel, who is a licensed psychologist, and she talks a lot about and does a lot of studies about the ways that essential oils can affect our processing and our mood. So she has this thing called the 5-step emotional processing method, and I thought it was really good, and I wanted to share it with you here. So she suggests when you want to be preventative in these types of things, or if you are in a certain stressful situation, or you're having a bad day, or whatever it might be, there's 5 different things that she suggests. So first one is applying an essential oil. And she suggests applying it to the occipital point, which is the place right back here on the back of your neck. It's kind of maybe a V shape. That's always a good place to put essential oils, because they can really affect your hypothalamus super quick. She also suggests putting them on your pulse point, so maybe behind your ears, or right here on your wrist is another great place, or over your heart. So applying them to those points, also breathing them in, because that's going to affect the hypothalamus really quickly as well. And whatever emotion you're feeling, you want to thank that emotion. So instead of feeling really frustrated that you're frustrated, or just mad that you're overwhelmed and you're having a bad day, just thank you for this emotion. You might want to thank God. That's probably what I would do. Thank you, God, for this emotion. It's helping me to kind of slow down and really be present with it. Just love on it, right? Don't hate how you're feeling, because it's just simply a feeling, and you can change that. You ask it to leave. Like, I'm really tired of feeling this way, and I want to feel a different way. And you replace it with another emotion. She suggests hope. Like, you have hope that you can change the way that you're feeling right now, and that you don't have to feel this way. And so that's kind of a little bit of like a stop, drop, and roll, if you will, to how you can change your mood right then and there. And I would imagine that I've actually never tried this specific method, but I'm going to. I've used essential oils, obviously, but not really gone through this process. I would imagine that this can become something that is really a great habit, and that you honestly would get into the habit really quickly and be able to switch your feelings even quicker if you were to just practice this even a couple of times. So let's talk a little bit more about application, and then I really want to dive in deeper on this new adaptive line that is actually made specifically for this. And I think this is going to be something you're really going to want to tune into, because this is a game changer when you think about your mood and your emotions and your stress level and your overwhelm. So we're going to get into that in just a second, but let's talk about application. So there's 3 different ways you can use essential oils: aromatic, topical, and internal. And so aromatic is by far the fastest way to access that mood center, that hypothalamus, and it's going to be probably the most effective in changing your mood right then. Topical, obviously, that's really great as well. You can apply them to your pulse points like we were talking about, and it really helps to just change your environment. It gets into your skin, works on a little bit of a deeper level, and can be a little bit longer lasting. And then internal use, this really helps support your cells at a deeper level, and it really helps your emotions to be processed more readily. So those are kind of the different ways that they can work in your body to help you process these things. So let's talk about this adaptive line. So I want to tell you about the 3-part system. There's actually a calming blend capsule, and there is a roller bottle, and there's also an adaptive essential oil blend. So let's talk about the 3 different ones and the ways that you would use it, because I really want you to have a great plan. I know that a lot of you may not have this because it just came out. It's actually not available for purchase until October unless you went to convention. But I want to direct you also, if you printed out the notes, I know you've been taking notes on like the impact of the emotions and then the science behind them. But I want you to take, before we get into this, I really want you to take an inventory of how you're feeling now. And if you don't have this sheet right in front of you, you can totally just write it down on a sheet of paper or whatnot. Just think about some of the feelings that you feel on a daily basis, whether it's stress or overwhelm or anxious or angry or fearful. Think about that and kind of jot those down. And then also think about, on the flip side of that, maybe the reverse of those, how do you want to feel? So do you want to feel hopeful or optimistic or excited or maybe calm? I know for me, calm was something that I wanted to feel like all the time. I just always felt overwhelmed, not always, but a lot. And I just wanted to have this calm feeling as I went throughout my day, like whatever comes my way, I can tackle it. So that is definitely, I would say, one that I always wanted to feel more of. And I can honestly say that I do feel more calm throughout the day. Even if things come at me, I definitely feel like I can handle them better now. And I feel like that's kind of all we want, right? I don't really think that things are going to go away. I just want to be able to tackle them in a different and better and more and a healthier way. So take a few minutes and do that. I'm going to kind of continue to talk about the new adaptive line, but please fill those in, because the thing is, you want to really know how you want, what do you want the outcome to be, and then that's going to help you if you can just continually think, I want to be calm. Like for me, I just want to be calm as I go through my day. I want to be happy. I want to be joyful. I want to be cheerful. I want to show up for my family and my coworkers or whatever it might be. You're going to be way more in tune with how you want to feel, and then you're going to be way more apt to actually follow this daily routine that we're going to kind of carve out. So we'll probably be on here for about 15 or 20 more minutes just to give you an idea. So go ahead and keep doing that, but I'm going to go on and talk about the adaptive line. Okay, so there's 3 different parts to this, and in the adaptive oil blend, I want to tell you the oils that are in that. There's lavender, neroli, spearmint, wild orange, copaiba, and sweet gum. And I just wanted to point out that even in lavender alone, there have been studies that show that it's more effective than benzodiazepines and tranquilizers. So it's super, super powerful for your limbic system, and it can influence a lot in your body, just that one oil. So if you have lavender and you don't have adaptive yet, you might want to pull that out, right? It's very effective, honestly, I feel internally. So if you have lavender, I would only recommend using doTERRA internally especially, but really in general. So if you have that and it's doTERRA, go ahead and start using it internally. I know that a lot of you are probably not as familiar with that, but it's something that honestly I feel like it works a little bit better used internally. So if you have some veggie capsules, just put 1 to 2 drops in there and take it 2 or 3 times a day and see how that works for you. So as far as the oil blend goes, like I said, it's in 2 different forms. So the oil blend that's just in the bottle like this, it's just kind of doesn't have coconut oil added to it. That's going to be what you want to use in your diffuser. And 3 to 4 drops. It will be great to diffuse really anywhere, but I find that it has a very relaxing type of scent to it. It has a very delicious scent. I really wanted to smell this all day. It's literally so good. So you diffuse it in your office or in your bedroom or even in the kitchen, wherever you feel like you might want to have some extra calming effect going on. It's good to diffuse anytime and anywhere, really. Also, the essential oil blend in the bottle, this is really easy to roll on the go. So, put it on the pulse points. I really like to kind of rub it, I don't know if you can see on Instagram, but kind of right here on my forearm, and then just rub it on my other forearm. And then I'll smell, and it's just putting it over a larger surface area, not just on your wrist, actually allows it to absorb a little bit better. So I've started doing that rather than just on my wrist, and you kind of get more of the aromatic effect that way. But that one's a really great one to even give to like a teenager or an older child. They can take it to school with them and apply it. It's really easy for them to apply. But this oil blend is really going to be used to take the edge off, like in the moment. So stress, worry, tension, overwhelm is going to be really great to use for that. And it really helps support your neurological pathways and the biochemical pathways as well that we kind of talked about. So let's talk about the supplement. Let me show you one of these. Just to show you kind of what it looks like and the size of it. It's not very big, but let's talk about what's in here and how you should use it versus the oil. They're made to be used together. So this supplement has ahi seed flour, gamma aminobutyric acid, also known as GABA, scalenium, lavender, coriander, wild orange, and fennel. And it has 170 milligrams of the ahi flour, which is a very dense plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. So a lot of times omega-3s come from like an animal source, but this is a very great source of them to be vegan. So it's a plant-based source, and it's very great for brain function. So it really, all the omegas help support brain function. So this is just another form of that. There's 100 milligrams of the GABA in there, and this is really what's called the brakes of the brain. It helps the brain move into a lower gear. So if you're like me and you have like all of these thoughts going on like all the time, this is going to be a really great one for you to use, and just kind of like it said, slow it down a little bit, put it into a lower gear when you really just need to be calm and focused. It also has 15 milligrams of scalenium root, which is neurotransmitter support. And basically, it's a chill pill, okay? So if you need a chill pill, and who really doesn't, honestly, this will be a really great natural option for you. So I want to also talk about if you are taking this with medication. Like, what if you're already on medication? Can you take this? And I'm specifically talking about chill pill. Yes. I'm specifically talking about something like antidepressant type of medication. You can definitely take this along with that. I would all the time recommend that you talk to your doctor, especially when you're talking about something like that. It's going to be a process to come off if that's what you want to do, or maybe you just want to support yourself in that. Maybe they've talked about going up on a dose and you just kind of don't want to do that right now or whatnot. This will be a really great pairing with that at any rate. But if you want to get off those types of medications, it is possible, but you definitely want to talk with your provider and like come up with a plan. And if they're not willing to come up with a plan, you might need to find somebody else to entrust your care with, because here's the thing, we're in control of our health, right? We know our body's best, and this is totally doable. And you just need the right support, and you need the right plan. It's going to take, like I said, weaning off for sure. But if you're taking medications, I would suggest that you take it in the first few hours after you've taken your dose. So take your normal dose of medication, and then you can add this in a couple of hours. It's made to be taken once a day, but you could add a second dose in toward the end of the day if you feel like you need something else. So you can take up to 2 a day, but the recommended dose is 1. A lot of people have been asking about children as well. I know that some children struggle with these types of things. Probably a child about 8 or over would be able to take the supplements. The kids line has a lot of great support in this type of area, but kids can use the oil blend as well, just not the supplement if they're not 8 yet. So let's talk about anchoring your day. I have that on the sheet if you printed that out. Different ways that you can use this. Obviously, I mentioned diffusing the essential oil. I would put that in the morning and in the evening on my little the little sheet, your little routine that you're going to get into when you purchase these things when they're available. And I would suggest also using up some of your old bottles. So if you are an avid essential oil user, or even if you're not, you probably have an empty bottle sitting around. So wash that out. You can put it in the dishwasher, wash it out, and then cut your bottle in half. So just, do a few drops until you have half of the bottle gone. So you have an equal amount in both, and then you can put them in 2 different places. Because the thing is, if you don't have it in different places, you're not going to use it. And the reason, if you have essential oils and you feel like they're not working, is because you're not using them. So we have to use them for them to work. So let's put them in different places around the house. So I've cut mine in 2 different bottles, and one's in my office and one's in my kitchen. So do whatever you need to do to get them in the right places so that you have them right in front of you and that you make a habit of it. So the roller bottle, you can definitely keep this in your purse. You can use it throughout the day. If whatever kind of works for you. I like to diffuse it and put it on topically and take the pill. So you can use it all throughout the day, just not the supplement, obviously. We just want to take 1 or 2 of those. But the essential oil blend in the roller and in the bottle, you can definitely use those all throughout the day. So that being said, that's the adaptive line. I feel like it's going to be a huge game changer. I've already heard so many testimonies from people that went to convention that have already been adding it into their routine. And I actually just shared one. If you're already a customer with me and you're in our group, our private group, go look at what the testimony I just posted a few hours ago. It's absolutely amazing. Just giving so many people hope that feel like there's not any hope when it comes to different things like this, because it's crippling having continual stress and overwhelm and just anxious feelings or whatever it might be. And maybe you're on something that helps, but not all the way, or maybe you don't want to get on medication and you want to find a natural thing that helps. I would really, really encourage you to try this when it comes out. So let's talk about a few other things that you can add in that are not essential oil related, and then we'll talk about a few other oils that you might could use. And I actually put some other options on the sheet that I suggested that you go look at or print out, because I'm not going to be able to go through all of these, but I really want to encourage you to think about other things that you could add in that are really, really easy to do, but easy not to do. So think some things like just having quiet time during the day, maybe getting up a few hours, or not a few hours, a few minutes earlier, or a few hours in the morning, whatever works for you. I like to have at least an hour before my kids get up and I have to start my day to have quiet time. It really does start off the day and just make your day flow so much better. You want to make sure you're getting adequate amounts of sleep, and that's a whole other class, but that's definitely something you want to look at when you think of stress and mood and all of that. When you're feeling a certain way and you're feeling stressed, take some deep breaths. That's easy to do. If you have an essential oil, that's even better to take those deep breaths, because it can affect your body so quickly. But even if you don't have any essential oils, it helps. I mean, I just think about, like, they tell you to breathe in child labor because it helps with all the things that are going on. It helps even if you're not in child labor, right? So just think about breathing deeply, and it really does help reset your mood and your emotions and your body. So that's something that's really big that I always try to do. And see, I'm doing it right now. Having presence in the moment. I already talked about this, but this is really key when you think about what is stressing you out, what is making you feel a certain way. A lot of times it's because we're living in the future or in the past or whatever it might be. Try to just be in the present and really have gratitude for the things that are going right. Gratitude's a really big thing when you think about these types of things that we want to really be present with in the moment and in our day. Be grateful for those, and not always live in the present. That's really big. Massage, of course, that's very relaxing. Just want to throw that in there. I love massages. There are a few other supplements. I'm not going to go into them really in depth at all because we're kind of running out of time, but I find that when you're talking about mood and emotions and stress, you really want to give your body a great foundation. And if you know me, you've probably heard me talk about Lifelong Vitality Pack. That is the best foundation, like, other than eating a great diet, right? That's a great addition to eating a great diet. because your body needs fuel to run off, right? Obviously our food should be our fuel, but that supplements our food, right? Because it's not what it used to be, and we're not probably eating the way that we should every single day. That really gives us a great foundation. It allows all our systems in our body to work better and be supported. It actually allows essential oils to work better in our body. So those things are really important when you think about this whole picture. Terrazyme, PB Assist, those are really great for gut health. A lot of our stress and our emotions can stem from our gut kind of being all out of whack. So this is going to help with that. And so when you think about anchoring your day, I always take my supplements AM and PM. Obviously the Terrazyme and PB Assist as well. So you might want to put that and include that on your daily little anchor sheet that I gave you. So just a few more oils that I wanted to mention before we hop off here. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and post them. I'll be on for about another 5 minutes. Citrus Bliss, I find, is a really, really great one, an essential oil blend to just have with you to inhale in the moment. It smells like a creamsicle. It really helps to stimulate the mind to just think in a different way, to kind of shift your mood. It really works well in the moment. Balance is another great blend. A lot of you know and love that one. It's really going to help you to stay calm and be grounded, which a lot of times when you think emotions, you kind of feel like you're all over the place. This really helps you to stay grounded. And then bergamot would be one I wanted to mention. And Dr. Danielle Daniels, the psychologist that I talked about earlier, she talks a lot about this one, and it really helps to shift your mood fast. So that one might not be one you're as familiar with, but that one really can be great. And the entire emotional aromatherapy line, there's cheer, motivate, passion, forgive, console, and peace. And obviously those all of those names kind of are self-explanatory, right? If you want to feel more peace, use peace. If you want to feel motivated, use motivate. I love using motivate in the morning. Right when I get up, you just need to be motivated to get going. So I would definitely add that one to my AM routine. I use that every single day. So those are just some that I wanted to point out. If you want the whole list, you can go download those notes. I put them over on Facebook. It's in the title of this video, and then you can scroll up a little bit on the comments on Instagram and find that as well. And so I wanted to just close by saying I hope that you take this seriously and that you really start to look at how you can affect the things that are going on in your everyday life that are seemingly they're just programmed. They're just the way you always do things, and you always live your life in a stressful state or in an overwhelmed state or whatever it might be. It's just we kind of get programmed. Our body actually gets programmed with these different systems and these different pathways because your body's used to dealing with it over and over and over again. And it's going to wear down after a while, right? That's kind of when you start to seeing these certain types of symptoms. So really think about where is the stress coming from? Where's the overwhelm coming from? Is it something you can change and shift your mindset, or is it not? Is it just something that you're just having to deal with right now? I would suggest to use the 5-step method. I would just really encourage you to know that there is a different way, and that there are small steps that you can take that will really help a lot to change the pathway and the programming in your body. You can change that over time. And just like it wasn't a fast shift, a lot of times it's a slow fade. Don't expect these things to change overnight either. It's going to be a slow process sometimes getting back to that state of calm, or that's, feelings of joy and happiness, or whatever it is for you. I know it was for me. It took a while for me to kind of get back to, I guess, ground zero, you could say. And it takes a little bit to get on the other side of that, but to me, it's always worth it. And to just know that there is hope in that, and that there are tools that you can use. And for me, one of the biggest ones is prayer, right? I'm going to pray about this, and I'm also going to take action on this. And so I'm telling you a little bit about the action type of steps that you can take, but definitely don't overlook prayer, because that's a huge one in my life, and I hope it is in yours. So really, really quick, I just wanted to say, if I talked a lot about essential oils, and you know that I love helping people with those. If you already have your account, these adaptive products that I talked a good bit about will be available in October for individual purchase. So you can definitely purchase those, or you can purchase the entire collection of the new products, which I would suggest because they're all awesome. But I'm glad, Lindsay. I'm glad you were able to join. But those will be available. You can go in right into your online account and order those. If you're not currently a member, I would love to help you get started if nobody else has been helping you. I actually created a form for you if you wanted me to help you come up with a custom kit. Maybe you like some of the things I talked about tonight and you are on a certain budget, or whatever it might be. I can definitely help you create that. And I'm going to post the link. I don't know where I'm going to do it on Instagram, but on Facebook I'll post it under here, and I'll just tell it to you as well. So it's another bit.ly link. It's bit.ly/KC for Carrie Cootie custom kit. So that's going to be a form you can fill out. It'll send me a notification, and I'll definitely get in touch with you really quickly on that, and we can go ahead and get you going. Or there's a kit that's kind of already pre-made that I feel is one that's good to get started with, and it's called the Aroma Touch Diffused Kit. So just reach out if you're interested at all. I would love to help you get started with some of these, or just help you with anything that you have going on. I really know in my heart that prevention is the new prescription, and so I want to help you be preventative in your health and really look at ways that you can take the upgrade every day that are going to add up in the end. It's going to add up to lasting change when you think about the things that you do daily. It's all about those daily habits. So let me know how I can help. I'm glad you joined tonight. If this has been helpful for you, and you know somebody that's like, oh, you just been thinking about your friend that's always seemed overwhelmed and she's always stressed, share this with her. Like, people need this information. And I will say that, obviously I can't say a whole lot about this, but as a pharmacist, one of my really big passions is to help people get off medications. I know that there are certain medications that you have to be on, and I respect that totally, and I respect modern medicine, but a lot of people do not want to be on medications, especially for something like this. This could be a game changer for somebody. So if you know somebody like that, send them my way. I would love to help them if nobody else is. Let them watch this video because there's hope out there, and it doesn't always have to be the way that you think it does. So anyway, I will see you guys later. I hope you have a great night. Thanks for joining, and let's go be hopeful, right? Let's go be calm. Night, night, everybody.